There you are. So very sorry.
No worries at all. All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to be sharing my screen in just a little bit here. This is going to be a session where I'm going to be showing you how to work with PowerPoint to make your own course banner. So that will be our main focus. And let me go ahead and just dive in by sharing my screen. All right, could you let me know if you see that, Erica?
Yes, I can.
All right, awesome. Okay, so this is also a Cool by Design course. So I'm going to be working a little bit in that course, using it to show you some things. We're not going to go through that step by step because I'm going to be actually showing it to you. But just want to mention that really early on that yes, there's going to be a recording of this session. And so there's the recording, and there's also the Cool by Design course itself that can take you through these steps. So I don't want you to feel like if I feel like I'm moving a little too fast, feel free to raise your hand or put items in the chat, of course, and I will answer questions as they come in. Don't worry about interrupting me. But also, I just want to let you know that you have 3 different ways, like the live way, the recording of this, and the Cool by Design course to actually work through this content. So if it feels like you might be not understanding some steps, definitely ask some questions. But if it's just that you might not necessarily remember the steps, that's okay. There's lots of resources. And I'm going to show you how to access those. So I have pulled up the KCTCS Online Info Center. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you are in my path, there's this little fox with the global navigation, and if you click on it, there's going to be some options for you. One of them is KCTCS Internet. You click that, and then Info Centers. You'll open that up, and you'll go down to KCTCS Online. So if you haven't been there before, that's how you get there. We have lots of resources, and one of them is Cool Faculty Development on this tab here. There's information about Academy conferences, orientation, lots of things. I'm going to be going through something that is in one of our Cool by Design projects. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. There's currently 3 of them up. We add to them periodically as we have time to actually create them. I'm going to be going over this use PowerPoint templates to make your own course banners. So once again, you can do that process to have like a review of what we're doing, and actually it will take you step by step through this process. So I'm going to go ahead and click Access the Project, and then you'll see what this course looks like. I'm going to be kind of bouncing back between it and some files as I show you how to do it. How you would move into this if you were doing this as a Cool by Design project is to go ahead and start the course. I'm going to be skipping some things because we don't necessarily need this as part of it. But I'm going to be going with the same project steps. We're going to be talking about the different characteristics of header and body banners, why they're set up the way they are. I think that's important to you to understand, so you know why I've done why I've created them the ways I have, because there's good reasons behind the size and the font and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but we'll move past that to fairly quickly to talk about how you can actually personalize provided templates. To answer the question that I know I will get, I'm opening these up through the Cool by Design course. At some near the end, either I will or I'll ask Erica to post the link to this Cool by Design course, so you can just go to it directly. But these templates that I'm using, you can download from there. So I will be using files. There's templates that essentially get you started on it that you can modify in any sort of way that you want, and that's what I'm going to be going through in this session. I'll actually show you those steps. And then there's a couple more steps. One of them is to export and save. This is a somewhat tedious process, but one that once you actually get your banners and get past that point, the naming convention that I'm suggesting, it will make your life much easier later. So it's worth that time that you spend. And then finally, I'll show you how to actually build those banners into Blackboard Ultra, actually put them in. So those are the steps of the project in Cool by Design and the steps of what we're doing today. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about header versus body. There's a section within the Cool by Design course that talks about this, but when I talk about header, I'm going to show you the difference. This is a header, the one that has course overview and has an icon. These are really meant for at the top of a content page or an assignment or something like that. The use for these is to very quickly orient a student to what's on that page, and they will get used to that iconography and will have associations and very quickly orient them to what's on that. So it tends to be larger and takes up more space. And then if you look at this one, this is an example of a body banner. It's meant to take up less space, but also still break up content and let them know what's in sections, but it's not taking up as much room. I have seen people who use header banners and they use all header banners. That's fine, but you are increasing the amount of scrolling that a student has to do. Just the very nature of using banners means you're increasing scrolling, but there's kind of that balance between it being something that's useful for a student, visually breaking up content, letting them know, orienting them, and creating a clear kind of visual structure for things. But you want to hit that balance of not making sure that you're not putting in so many banners and lots of thick banners that you've really increased the amount of scrolling that needs to happen on that page. So it's a balance. In addition to that, there's also number banners, which aren't pictured here, but you'll actually look, or you'll see as part of the template. We'll work with those a little bit, and those are really helpful for creating lists and also for important steps on a page. So those are the banner types, and we are going to go and just kind of dive in. So the next page of the Cool by Design course and what we'll be working with actually includes a template here, and all that you need to do is download that. There's steps that are included here. I'm going to take you through the steps. That's what we'll be doing in this session. What we're going to start with is the header banners template. I've had to split these in two because you'll notice that there was different sizing for the header banner and the body banner. And anytime there's a different size within PowerPoint of the slide itself, you have to create completely separate files. This creates a little bit more work for you, but it's really the only way to work with it through PowerPoint. And since PowerPoint is something that everyone is pretty familiar with, and it's fairly easy to work with, that's a price. It's a price I was willing for all of us to pay. So let's go ahead. I downloaded it. You'll be able to just click it to open it. As it thinks through. Thinking very hard. All right, there we go. Okay, so this opened it, and there's going to be something that you have to make sure you do each time, or you're going to be clicking around and not getting anywhere. There will be a yellow ribbon at the top where you'll have to actually enable editing because it's in protected view. Clicking that will bring up your options to actually work with this file. So start with enable editing. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is to work with color. You may like this color, and if you do, you can skip this step. But the first thing you'll want to do is make some changes to this first. There's just one slide here because it starts. We start by making whatever changes that you want to make to the base and then reproducing it. We'll get to the reproducing step soon. To start with, let's go ahead and change this big ribbon here. And to do that, you left click on it and then you right click on it. There's other options that you can do to get to this. You can also, I like to right click and open up options. You could also left click and then come up here and there's options. Either way works. But what we want to do is we want to choose fill because we want to change the color of this ribbon. And if we click that, we're going to come up with a number of different options. You can go to more fill colors if you, for instance, know what a hex code is. You don't have to as part of this, but if you do and you have a hex code, you could go in and just put it in. You could just decide among these colors or click more and just really dial in on exactly what you want. go into the standard size or the side and pick colors from among that. I'll just go ahead and pick this darker blue. So we're really just kind of changing blue colors. You can keep working with it until you're happy with it. You want to make sure that you keep working with that color till you're happy with it, because you're going to reproduce this. So we'll just say that this is good, or maybe we don't like how dark that is. Just open fill again, and maybe change it to this color. Whatever process that you go through to make sure that you're happy with that. And then you're going to want to then change this. There's another color in here, and that's this circle. And if you click that, there's a couple different things going on in here. One of them is this icon, and the other one is the circle. There's different layers here. You know if you're on the right one. If I change this, it would not be good. You know if you're the right one if this line intersects the circle. So I know that I'm on the right one now. I can right click and then change with my fill. And I can just get, shape outline. I'm confusing myself. If you fill, it will create a different effect. We want to go to shape outline. And then we've just changed the color to match. You can make these two different colors. I suggest that you consider making them the same color. It kind of creates a more cohesive feel to things. But if you have a course, I'm going to show you a little bit later, one of the courses that I used this process to design. It was a game-based learning course, and so with that, I can go a little bit more into extra colors, and it's kind of accepted as part of the feel and the theme of the course. But I would suggest you create kind of a similar color feel to it, so it's less visually distracting and it's more cohesive. The other thing you can do is change your font. In order to do that, just like anything that you do within Word or PowerPoint, if you click it and then double click it, you're going to highlight all of the text at once. And then you have options here, just like all Microsoft programs, to go through and change your lettering. You can just stick with the default. This is meant to be something that's really easy to read. Whatever you go to, I don't suggest that you go to a hard to read font that, for instance, it might fit the feel of your course to have something like this, but that would be very difficult for your students to very quickly read. And the whole point is for them to very quickly read that and then move on. So we're going to just revert that so that doesn't show up in any of my courses. So you can make some changes here. The main ones being this ribbon, this color, and some font. You can make additional changes. Whatever you do, just the point would be to get it to the point where you're happy with this first one, because what we're going to be doing is duplicating the same one. Let's say that I'm happy with this color, I'm happy with this font, I feel like it's ready to go. What I do is I go up to the actual tile here and I right click it, and then there's an option to duplicate slide, and that's what we're going to do. When we do that, we now have our original one, which is how we want it. We want a course overview, and now we have another one that we can edit. And essentially that's how you keep creating an additional header banner. And that's why it's really important for you to be happy with the first one. Sometimes you will make a change and you're 10 iterations in and you have 10 of them going and you're like, I don't like this color. Well, it means you kind of have to start over because you want them to be very similar. Or you have to go through and manually change the color on every one. So it's worth the time to work through that. Okay, so what we'll do now that we have the second one is we can make some changes. We're happy with color. We're going to just stick with the same color. I mean, it's up to you if you wanted to create some color changes, but I find that keeping the same color means that students pay more attention to how the words change and maybe iconography changes. So again, up to you. The field's open. That's just one of the reasons I like to keep my the colors of my banners the same throughout a course, is because I want them to pay attention to icon and word changes first, and not have that additional mental step. Okay, so let's say we're going to create an About Me page and banner now. We can just double click, type something new, and we have new words for it. And then there's another step that I strongly suggest on header banners, and that is to change your icon. Just like anything, you could click on it to select it by left clicking, and then you can right click to get some options. And what we're going to want to do is we want to change the graphic. So we go up here to change graphic, and then I've used icons. You may find that you do other things with whatever you want to put in here. I like the kind of a clean, crisp contrast between an image and just simple iconography, but there's the field's open on what you want to do here. Okay, so what we do is change graphic, go to from icons, and then maybe I just want something that goes along with that. So maybe I just put, you could go through here and scroll and scroll and scroll and look. That's one way to do things, and maybe a very, very time-consuming way. So what we're going to do is go up to the top in this text field, and we're going to just try key terms. So I'm going to put person in here, and it's going to bring up some options for me. So I like the feel of my icons to kind of stay similar. You don't have to do that, but I like to do that. So this has a similar kind of thickness and feel to this one. And then I'm happy with that. I go up and I go through the same process of left clicking on any one of these would be fine, and then duplicating. And then now I have a third one, and I can maybe go to module overviews. Although I would probably, if I was going to do a module overview, duplicate this slide and just use the same icon. And make this one something else. And then change my icon. So that's how you work with a header banner. Has there been any questions, Erica?
No, ma'am. Just a few, but I've been taking care of them.
Okay.
One of the questions was how they can locate the template. April had asked that, and I let her know that it's part of the course, and we'll get her a direct link to that. And there was a question about the recordings of the session, so I'm answering that now.
Yeah, April, we'll go ahead and put, it'll make more sense to you, and you'll have more resources if you go to the Cool by Design course, so we'll get that link in there. All right.
Julie, we had one more question. How do we add Bitmojis?
It would be if you want to add a Bitmoji, you would go to replace this graphic, and you would go from a file, and you would have your Bitmoji saved from a file. Sure.
There's one more question.
Sure.
Melanie asked, did you hit duplicate slide?
Yes. So I click on any one that I want to duplicate. So for instance, sometimes I will use the same icon, like a course overview and a module overview. Click on it so it's highlighted on one of these tiles, and then I right click and go down to duplicate slide, and you just keep doing that. I like a process where I duplicate, I change the icon, I change the word, I duplicate, I change the icon, change the word, and you can keep going. And with this process, I'm going to show you how to export. It's a batch export, and then there's a way to just do an individual file. So you can just keep this as a running file, and every time that you think about, oh, okay, I would like that header banner, I didn't think about that, you just go in and you duplicate again, you work on the same process of changing the the letters and the icon, and export and save that file, and you have another banner. So this is kind of a living file for people. And if you want to create different colors, it either means going through and changing them one at a time, or doing the same process. That's the one downside. I mean, there's a number of downsides of working within PowerPoint, but it's something that everyone has easy access to. You could very easily change colors all at once with much more expensive programs that you don't necessarily have access to. So this is a way to do it within a program that you're used to using and is also freely available. And so there's a little bit of extra time involved, but will work out. The other thing I want to point out is don't change the sizing of these. You can change the sizing as far as the height of it, but don't change the width, because this is actually optimized to the pixel of making it so it goes into ultra without that adding that gray buffer on an image. So the width is pretty much perfect for that. You can change the height, but don't change the width. Okay, I'm going to minimize this in case there's more questions on it, and then we're going to look at the difference between a body banner template. This is much, much faster. There's a lot less going on in it. I'll go ahead and download that one and get that one open once PowerPoint thinks through that. The big difference here is it's the same process of opening it in protected view. But the big difference is that it's going to start out with a few additional slides. We go ahead and click Enable Editing, and you're also not changing icons. This means, once again, that there's going to be a lot less scrolling. And just change the color as we went through that process. The other thing is there's numbered versions here, and you would want to go and change the ribbon. But that's how that would work for you. It's the same process. I'm not going to go through the same process just for time reasons. That the same steps are included in the steps in the Cool by Design course. The last thing I want to show you is exporting and saving. It's a simple process. I'm going to go through it fairly quickly, but once again, you have the resources for that. You go over to File, you go to Save As, then you would want to change it to away from PowerPoint presentation. That's where it will default save for you, and you're going to scroll down until you find PNG, Portable Networks Graphics Format. PNG tends to be smaller. It's a good option for that. You could also do a JPEG. I tend to pick PNG just for because if you put a lot of banners in the course, that file storage does add up. Then you click Save, and it's going to ask you an important question. It says, which slides do you want to export? When you first do it, you want to pick all slides, because it's going to create a folder for you and name it slide 0, 1, etc., and then you're going to rename those files. But if you've come back later and you just want to save one to add to your suite of things, you do just this one. We're going to do all slides. Again, the Cool by Design course will walk you through the just this one step. It's going to let me know that they've been saved in a different folder. And what we go through, I'm not going to show this step again just because for time reasons.
Julie, I'm so sorry, you've got 5 minutes.
Yes. What you go through is you go through and you save those files, and they just change the name, and that's also on the Cool by Design project. Last step, which is to show you how to add a file within Ultra. You can start on a content page. I'll just go to this module overview. There's already a banner added in here. If you don't want to make banners, there's also banners on the KCTCS Info Center that are pre-made. you go ahead and add content, add an attachment, and then go in and add a file. This is not a banner file, but for time reasons, we'll just go with Don's care. And this important step here is to consider that you have to make sure that you're putting in alternative text. So if you have a file name, we want to make sure that it is saying module overview. If you have put in a module overview PNG file. So it's going to automatically include it here, but you need to change that. So when a screen reader goes through this, it's giving that as the image for it, and then you go ahead and click save. And it's going to include that just like it's shown here. All right, we'll wrap up there. That goes through the process. I know that was quick, but once again, Erica has included the link for how to access the Cool by Design course. It takes you through all these steps, and there'll also be this recording. And I will stop sharing my screen to see if anyone has any questions.
Elizabeth asked, what about creating a banner that goes across the screen at the top? Is that possible?
That is possible. I have not looked into the sizing of that. I think it will probably be a different Cool by Design course, but because it's just one image rather than a suite of images, I haven't focused on that yet because I'm not sure what the pixel width is yet. I haven't looked into that. Do you know that question?
Well, I will say that it duplicates. If you turn your course banner on, it only appears on the main content page. It doesn't, as documents and modules are open, you don't see that at the top. But it is the thumbnail. It will be duplicated as your thumbnail. A lot of instructors use the list view for their courses, but on your courses page, if you choose the icons, they have those default little photos, and it's not perfected yet because they're different ratios is what I'm trying to say. I have designed some and it fits great in the thumbnail, but it doesn't fit so well in the course banner. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to. I would look into size. We're gonna have to wrap up though, so leave time for our next presenter. But thank you for joining us, and I will pass the torch.